and welcome back to the channel. As someone who has been sick in more countries around the world than I can count, staying healthy on the PCT was really important to me. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the foods that I ate on trail, and I'm going to share some of my tips for staying healthy while hiking the PCT or any other Thru Hike you might be on.
You suck my battleship.
Thru hiking diets are pretty notorious for being awful, generally consisting of things like ramen bombs, sugary foods, and really high processed foods. And of course, I definitely did eat some of those things. I did make a conscious effort to trying to eat as healthily as I could while on trail. So just a little disclaimer, I am not a nutritionist, and the diet I'm going to talk about is by far not the healthiest diet in the world, but as far as trail nutrition goes, I think I did pretty well. I stayed healthy throughout the trail. I felt great pretty much all the time on trail. So one of my first tips is to consider sending some resupply boxes to the places where you're just going to be eating out of like a small gas station, because the food can be really limited there. And also by sending more boxes, it allows for you to send healthier foods, you know, if you dehydrate food at home, or like in my case, I sent like greens powder, supplements, and that sort of thing. So it's definitely worth considering sending a few boxes along the way. You're probably going to hear me mention Huel quite a few times, so I just want to point out that I am not sponsored by them. In fact, I actually contacted them before going out the trail to say that I think that they should market themselves as a backpacking food, and I asked them to sponsor me in return for me raising awareness for that. But yeah, they said no, we don't do that. And then now I am getting so many ads on YouTube from Huel to say that they are a great backpacking food. Not saying that they stole my idea or anything, but they definitely stole my idea. Alright, so I actually really like their savoury meals. What I did with this was I would order a big bulk of it, like 4 bags at a time, 4 different flavours. I had the ones like mac and cheese and that sort of thing. And I would bag this up into little separate bags, just like I did in San Diego for my resupply boxes, and then I would post those ahead. And these savoury meals, they contain up to 25 grams of protein, slow release carbs, fibre, all 26 essential vitamins and minerals. I have to say, I felt great on these foods. And actually, there was a section after Kennedy Meadows where I didn't have any resupply boxes, and I was just doing the typical hiker diet, ramen bombs, eating out of gas stations. And I was definitely feeling like the miles were getting harder, and it actually took me a while to even put 2 and 2 together and realise, oh, maybe it's because I've changed my diet out here. And then I did a big order again. I was able to get the Huel foods, the shakes, greens powders, and yeah, I definitely noticed a change in my energy. So that's what worked for me personally. I still use Huel Savoury foods when I go hiking, camping here. Another tip is you can use protein powder or a meal replacement powder. Again, I chose Huel's one, but yeah, there seems to be a load out there. I like Huel's one because it basically is just a meal replacement. It contains like all your essential vitamins and minerals and a perfect split of fat, protein, carbs. I definitely did get sick of it at one point, but yeah, it's not something you'd want to have every day, but you know, having it for the odd breakfast just definitely gives you that boost, and I still use it to this day as well. Wee tip there is, if you are using the savoury meals from Huel, their little black container actually is really light. I think it weighs around 80 grams, and you can obviously put boiling water in it. So I would use it for cups of teas, I'd use it for the Huel foods, I'd cold soak in it. And instead of carrying a protein shaker, I actually got one of those little, it's like a little whisk protein shaker ball. I would put this in that container and the water and the meal replacement powder, just press hard down on the lid so it doesn't leak, and I would shake it in that, and that actually worked out quite well. I swear this isn't gonna just be a video about Huel, there is some other things as well. Another thing that's worth considering is taking a multivitamin supplement or using something like a greens powder. I heard really good things about Athletic Greens. I still haven't tried it yet, but it looks great. I use, again, Huel green powder. I really like this stuff. It's a perfect blend of 91 vitamins, minerals, whole food source ingredients, practice superfoods, adaptogens, super mushroom, and gut-friendly probiotics. I really liked having this in the morning. I just put it in my water bottle, shook it up, and felt great after it. If I wasn't taking that, I would definitely consider taking a multivitamin. Some people also say that fish oil is really, really good for your joints. Dr. Dynamite that I hiked with swore by these emergency little sachets of, they're like really, really high levels of vitamin C. He would have that every day, and I definitely saw quite a few hikers having that. So other foods I liked on trail would be things like couscous was really handy. I would often cold soak this in my little container for about 10-20 minutes, and then I'd use sachets of tuna. Tuna with the oil in was very good as well to get the extra calories. Okay, and one of my favorite meals of the day was breakfast. Me and Snakemate, we would often in town get together and pitch in, and we'd buy a load of ingredients to make homemade muesli. This was a right faff, but honestly, it tasted so good, it was so worth it. And it was great because it had a lot of raw ingredients and just felt really healthy, tasted good. We would put things like oats, ground flax seeds, dried fruit, nuts, seeds, chia seeds, and whole milk powder. So we'd put that in wee bags, and yeah, then we take it with us, or if we're doing resupply boxes, we make a bigger amount and then put that in our resupply boxes. And when in town, I know the first thing you're gonna wanna do is eat pizza, and that is definitely what I did. I was a big fan of having pizza when I got off trail, but it's also a good idea to take advantage of being in town and being able to eat fresh food. So whether that's getting some fresh fruit, we were a big fan of getting like nice fresh apples. Yeah, just take advantage of the fresh food. And then when you're heading out of town, it can be a good idea to take things like a bag of spinach. It was quite handy, would last a day or two, would be good in wraps. Sometimes I took avocados out. I also sometimes carry like a wee thing of olive oil that I would add to meals just to up the calories. Other snacks like dried mango, dried apricot, and dates are also really, really great on trail. Someone I hiked with called By the Way was also a big fan of taking out those packets of smoked salmon, which I never actually did, but it seems like a really good idea.
Smoked salmon.
Wow.
And the bag says like refrigerated after opening. Yeah. And there wasn't in a refrigerator, so I was like, can I have this? Can I take this to the Sierras? And it's gonna attract bears maybe, but it's
we're all gonna be dead in the morning.
Yeah, he absolutely loved it. So that's another thing that might be worth trying. I also have to say, one of my favorite things was breakfast essentials, which is basically just like a milkshake that is full of protein and vitamins. This as a recovery drink was one of the best things ever. I actually discovered it from another tip, is check out Gear Skeptic's video all about through hiking nutrition. This changed the game for me. If you're gonna watch any video on nutrition, watch his video. It is absolutely amazing. Or videos, he's got a load of them. But yeah, he talked about having a recovery drink within like 20 minutes of finishing an endurance activity, and how that actually really helps you the next day. And yeah, I would have the breakfast essentials quite often, and not only does it taste amazing, it really, really did help. I felt really great most mornings, waking up even after a super long hard day the night before. And that's another thing actually, one of my cycling friends said to me was, you're eating for tomorrow. And I never really truly understood that until I was on the PCT and there was a day where I did not eat enough. It was really cold and weather was bad, and like I felt rough as a badger's arse the next day. I really did, just from not eating enough.
Having something to eat after an endurance activity makes a real difference to the next day. I didn't eat anything last night because literally my hands just would not work. I couldn't do anything. I could just about put my tent up, get water, go to sleep. So because I didn't eat anything last night, what the flip is this hat doing? Yeah, because I didn't eat anything last night, I really felt a lot worse this morning, like muscles and pains and aches and general fatigue. So these are two things that I already know, but it was a big reminder. Look at it. It's still good to be here.
Keeping enough calories in is super important, which, you know, is why the diets are typically really bad, because eating all the fatty and processed food is a good way to get calories. And of course, as you know, if you watch my videos, I did eat a lot of Mars bars, so it's kind of a case of like when you can be healthy, or you know, if you can add healthy things on, that's really good. But I also think, you know, if the choice came down to getting enough calories and eating some bad things, in my opinion, I think that's better than saying, you know, trying to be really healthy and not eating enough. Sometimes like just eating what you can to keep the calories up is a good idea, but there's definitely ways to keep those calories up without just having to eat crap, which hopefully some of the tips in this video can help there. So yeah, definitely check out Gear Skeptic's video, it's amazing. And I would also recommend checking out Backcountry Foodie. She has a great website. She does a resupply service on the PCT, which sounds really amazing. If you've got the money to spare for it, like, it really does sound great. But she also has a lot of recipes on her website, where you can actually pay for a membership thing to get all these recipes. That'll include like dehydrating recipes, cold soaking recipes if you don't have a dehydrator. Yeah, some of those recipes look great. And of course, staying hydrated is a good way to stay healthy on trail. And it's also a good idea to filter all of your water. Not everyone does this, and of course, hike your own hike. You know, some people like to be au naturel and not filter the water. But for me, I just didn't see the point in risking it. You know, like, most of the things is going to make you sick in water you can't actually see. So people who say, oh, but the water, you know, you can tell looking at it, like, it looks clean. If it's got giardia in it, you're not going to be able to tell. So I think, why risk it? Takes a couple of minutes to filter water, and I filtered water the whole trail and managed to stay really well. Another thing I was obsessed with doing on trail was sanitizing my hands. I always kept a little thing of hand sanitizer in my bum bag, and yeah, I would do this before eating, like religiously, like after using the nature's bathroom. So I think, yeah, hand sanitizer is a good thing to have out there. And another thing as well, and this is probably something that I didn't do enough, but it is recommended to, say you're sharing some crisps or snacks or whatever, is to pour it into people's hands rather than letting them put their hands in. Because apparently if someone's infected with giardia, they can be asymptomatic, for example, but they can actually pass it on to you. So that's recommended. I try to do that sometimes, a lot of the time I forgot, but it's worth keeping in mind. Another thing for staying healthy on trail is to try and get as good quality sleep as you can. This one was definitely a struggle for me. I struggle to sleep in the best of times in a comfy bed at home. So out there was definitely some challenging times, but there was a few things I did that helped. Earplugs was, yeah, I had to sleep with earplugs because I am definitely very sensitive to noise, and anytime I heard even a stick break, I would be like, this is it, I'm gonna die, there's a bear coming to get me. So yeah, even though, you know, it's probably a good idea to be able to hear things in case a bear actually does come, but like, yeah, I find like the earplugs I used, I had like 3 sets. I had ones that were like the little foam ones for, you know, if it's just a little breeze or something, I put those in. And the ones I mostly wore, they were good, but they weren't like, you know, I could still hear, like if something noisy came through camp, I would be able to hear it, but it just kind of like settled my mind a little bit and just helped block out some of the generic foresty sounds. So that really helped. I also find going to the toilet very last minute, just before I go to sleep, was really good, so I didn't have to get up in the middle of the night to pee. And just generally trying to have a comfy setup, being warm enough. I was definitely warm enough with my setup. I worked really hard to get a setup that was going to keep me warm. And also I found my thermarest to be really comfortable. For a pillow, I find using my puffy as a pillow was more comfier than using my Sea to Summit Aeros pillow. But I did use this too, because back home I always sleep with a pillow in between my knees. So using the inflatable pillow like that, it kind of made me feel like I was back home, and especially having the quilt as well, like it kind of like sort of replicated my home bed a little bit. So these things helped. I think it also helps when you've just walked like 20 miles and you're completely worn out, and yeah, you can't help but fall asleep in a few minutes. But yeah, sleep's very important. Like even here at home, if I have a few days without sleeping well, I definitely feel more run down. So yeah, getting good sleep on trail is important to staying and feeling healthy. And lastly, I'm going to talk about what I am a pro at, and that is taking zeros. Taking zeros, they're fun, I love them, but they are also really important, especially if you are feeling a bit run down. You can look at it as an investment of time sometimes, because I definitely have seen people who have raced ahead. They're saying, I'm not going to take any zeros, and then they end up getting an injury, and yeah, they end up having to take a week out anyway. So taking the occasional zero can be really good to just like maintain your health and your body. And yeah, I mean, hike your own hike. I just think zeros are really, really important to get you all the way to Canada. And I think that's all for this video. Hopefully some of those tips were useful. If you have any tips yourself for how to stay healthy on trail, I would love to hear it, because as with everything, it's all a work in progress. I'm still learning myself, so I would love to hear from you, things that you do to keep healthy on trail. And yeah, thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.